The Odyssey was a masterpiece of engineering, a starship so advanced that even the most technologically adept alien civilizations marveled at its design. It was a hybrid, a vessel meant for exploration but also fully equipped for war, brimming with mysterious technologies. Built under a secret Earth government initiative, the ship embodied humanity's relentless pursuit of discovery and dominance among the stars. The Odyssey's sleek, dark hull reflected the infinite void of space, carrying with it an aura of awe and fear. On this particular mission, the Odyssey ventured into an uncharted region of space, a place where the known laws of physics started to break down. The crew, comprised of young but seasoned officers, was prepared for anything, or so they thought. Captain Malden Creed, a man of few words but unwavering resolve, stared out into the vast unknown from the command deck, his brow furrowed in thought. His first officer, Zena Torrik, a tactical genius with an unyielding drive, stood by his side, silently analyzing the fluctuating data on the consoles. "We're entering the anomaly zone now, Captain," said Veller Renwick, the ship's brilliant but eccentric navigator, his fingers dancing across the touch panels. "No turning back," he added. Malden turned to face the crew. "We're venturing where no one has gone before, into the heart of the unknown. But we are the Odyssey. Legends will speak of us. Stay sharp, stay focused," he said. "Captain, sensors are picking up some strange readings, energy spikes of unknown origin," reported Thane Aldrich, the ship's stoic science officer, his voice steady, said. "Can we identify the source?" Malden asked, his eyes narrowing as he looked over Thane's shoulder at the data streams. "Not yet," Thane said, "but it's powerful and close. Could be an anomaly or something else. Keep an eye on it." "Zena, prepare the crew for possible contact," Malden ordered. Zena nodded sharply and activated the ship-wide intercom. "All hands, this is Commander Torrik. We are entering an anomaly with unknown properties. Be ready for anything," she said. The Odyssey glided silently deeper into the anomaly. The atmosphere on the ship grew tense, as the unknown ahead loomed larger with every second. Then, out of nowhere, the ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and the crew was thrown against their seats. "What the hell was that?" Veller shouted, gripping the edges of his console to steady himself. "Shields are holding, but there's something out there, something big." Thane said, "Bring weapons online, defensive posture." Zena barked, said, "If it's hostile, we can't afford to hesitate." A massive object materialized on the view screen. It was an ancient vessel of unknown origin, its surface covered in strange, pulsating glyphs that emitted a faint, eerie glow. The ship appeared derelict, but something about it radiated power. Malden's eyes darkened. "Thane, any idea what we're looking at?" "Negative. It's not in any of our databases," Thane said. "But it's definitely emitting a high-energy signature. Could be a weapon, or something worse," he said. "Let's not wait to find out," Malden said. "Zena, get a strike team ready. We're boarding that thing." A boarding team was quickly assembled, led by Zena herself. Along with her were Jasper Callis, a sharp-witted engineer with a talent for improvisation, and Rona Vale, an expert in alien technology who always kept her cool under pressure. As they suited up in their combat gear, the tension was palpable. "Ready to tango with some ghosts, Jasper?" Rona asked with a smirk, said. "Only if they dance as badly as you," Jasper shot back, said, trying to ease the nerves in the group. Zena remained silent, focused on the mission. They boarded the shuttle and made their way to the derelict vessel, docking with a soft thud. The airlock hissed open, revealing a dimly lit corridor that stretched out into darkness. The silence was oppressive. "Stay close," Zena whispered, said, leading the team forward, weapons drawn. As they ventured deeper, strange symbols lined the walls, glowing faintly in the shadows. The ship felt alive, almost as if it were watching them. The further they went, the more the feeling of unease grew. "Anyone else feel like we're being followed?" Jasper muttered, his eyes darting around nervously, said. "Shut it," Zena snapped, but even she could feel it, the presence that lurked just beyond their sight said. Suddenly, a figure darted across their path. Zena raised her weapon, and the others followed suit. "Identify yourself," Zena demanded, her voice steady despite the growing fear in her chest, said. No response. The figure remained hidden in the shadows, its outline barely visible. "Captain, we've got company," Zaina said over her comms. "Stay calm and keep moving." "We need answers," Malden replied, his voice reassuring but tense. The team pressed on, deeper into the ship, but it wasn't long before they were ambushed. The shadows came alive, revealing strange humanoid creatures that moved with unnatural speed and agility. The Odyssey's team fought fiercely, exchanging blasts of plasma fire with the attackers. Jasper ducked behind a pillar as one of the creatures lunged at him. "A little help here," he yelled. Rona fired a shot, hitting the creature square in the chest, and it fell to the ground with a hiss. "You owe me one," she smirked. As the battle raged on, Zaina realized these creatures weren't just mindless attackers, they were protecting something. She pushed forward, fighting her way through the fray until she reached the heart of the ship. There, she found it, a massive, glowing core, pulsating with raw energy. "Captain, I think we've found the source of the energy readings. It's a power core of some kind, and it's active," Zaina reported. "Can you shut it down?" Malden asked. "I'm not sure," Zaina admitted, eyeing the complex structure. "It's unlike anything we've seen before," she said. "Do what you can," Malden ordered. "We can't let that power fall into the wrong hands." The Odyssey was under siege. The enemy alien fleet emerging from the anomaly had formed a battle formation, encircling the starship. Communications were down, and the Odyssey's survival depended on the crew's resolve. Inside, Zaina and her team were engaged in a deadly race to disable the alien power core. Enemies were attacking from all sides, keeping the circuits and energy cables under constant fire, pushing the team to their limits. "Captain, enemy ships are closing in fast. Our energy shields are weakening," Veller warned, his voice filled with alarm. "All crew, man your battle stations," Malden shouted, standing firm in the command chair. "Play the battle music. We're ready. We can't escape this fight, but we won't fall here," he declared, his voice filled with determination and conviction. Suddenly, the Odyssey's powerful cannons roared to life. The starship's rockets and laser cannons targeted the enemy ships, beginning a deadly dance in the void of space. Explosions lit up the sky as the Odyssey tried to break through the enemy lines. The ship shuddered, its shields flaring under the assault. Inside the ship, Zaina and her team were descending through ventilation shafts, trying to reach the power core. But they were surrounded by alien creatures, their menacing growls adding to the tension. "This place is about to go down," Zaina said sternly. "Jasper, if you don't disable that core, they'll blow us all to pieces." Jasper was drenched in sweat, frantically working at the alien control panel. "I'm trying. I'd need 10 years to understand this technology, but we only have a few minutes," he grumbled. Just then, Rona spotted a massive creature charging toward them. The beast, with long limbs thrashing, was demolishing everything in its path. "It's coming! Get ready!" Rona shouted. As the creature closed in, Zaina and Rona fired their laser rifles, but the bullets barely dented its thick hide. "Damn it! These creatures are unstoppable!" Rona yelled, retreating. At that moment, Jasper's hand made the final connection. "Come on! There it is!" he shouted as he entered the last command on the panel. The core flashed a bright light, then began to dim. The ship stabilized, and the energy surges ceased. But the creature was still charging at them. As Zaina backed away from the creature's massive strides, she paused for a moment. "No," she said. "We won't stop." Swiftly, she drew the knives from her belt and, with a courageous resolve, ran toward the beast. She leaped onto it, plunging the blade into its neck in one swift motion. The creature let out a groan and collapsed to the ground. The team breathed a sigh of relief. Rona laughed. "Now that's how it's done, Commander," she said, panting. "Good job, Jasper, but now we need to get out of here," Zaina said, injured but with a victorious air. "The Odyssey is waiting for us." In no time, they reached the escape shuttle and left the alien ship, which was on the brink of collapse. When they returned to the Odyssey, the crew welcomed them with cheers, but there was no time for a long celebration. Outside, a massive alien fleet still loomed. On the bridge, Malden's face was tense, but his eyes were ablaze with determination. "How are the shields holding, Veller?" he asked. "Our shields are at their limit, Captain. But they can't take much more," Veller replied. "We have to hold out long enough," Malden said in a calm but determined voice. "Prepare all weapons. Our goal is simple: survive." As the ship endured the relentless enemy assault, the Odyssey's guns roared back to life. Another enemy ship exploded in a massive fireball. But there were more, all converging to surround the Odyssey. Malden closed his eyes, took a breath, then opened them as an alarm blared on the bridge. "One of the enemy ships is charging up. They're preparing a massive shot at us," Veller shouted in panic. In that instant, a colossal energy wave was unleashed toward the Odyssey. The shields trembled, but the Odyssey did not fall. "Now it's our turn," Malden said firmly. "All weapons, lock on target. Fire at will." The Odyssey retaliated with all its firepower. Lasers and rockets tore through the enemy ships, lighting up the void with massive explosions. After a few minutes of a brutal fight for survival, the Odyssey emerged victorious. The enemy ships, realizing they had lost, began to retreat. "Captain, the enemy fleet is retreating!" Thane shouted with joy. Malden smiled, but it was a weary smile. The victorious Odyssey starship had repelled the enemy fleet, but the crew's morale was mixed. While there was joy in surviving, the uncertainty of new dangers kept everyone on edge. The battle was over, yet the silence that followed felt like the calm before the storm. On the command bridge, silence reigned. Captain Malden stepped forward and gazed out at the distant stars through the massive window. The traces left by the enemy fleet and the faint light from the explosions were still slightly visible. His eyes were deep in thought. "This silence is unnerving," Veller said quietly as he worked at the command console. "Everything is too calm. It could be a trap." "It might be," Rona replied, examining the data from the weapon systems. "But we can't act without knowing more. We still don't know what the enemy is planning." Just then, Zaina and her team entered the command bridge. They were exhausted, but each stood tall, proud of their work. Zaina walked over to Malden. "We've disabled the core. The enemy ship is no longer a threat," Zaina said, her voice calm but determined. Malden nodded to Zaina. "Good work, Zaina. You all prevented a major threat. But there are still questions. Why were these ships here? And where did the anomaly come from?" "The anomaly is not natural," Jasper said. "We know that now. They can artificially warp space and create passageways. This is an unknown technology on a galactic scale. So, does this mean our enemy is stronger than we thought?" Thane asked, his voice tinged with concern. Malden took a deep breath. "It seems so," he said. "But whatever they're doing, they haven't fully understood us yet. The enemy may be powerful, but so are we. We will fight." Suddenly, Odyssey's main computer, Nexus, began to alert. A bright light appeared on the panel. Nexus's cold voice echoed through the bridge. "A new energy source detected. Coordinates at sector 230 to 456. Malden immediately took action. "Magnify the area," he ordered. The screen quickly displayed the region. In the middle of a vast expanse of space, a sudden energy storm was seen erupting. The fabric of space seemed to be collapsing in on itself, creating a massive energy vortex. "What is that?" "It looks like a gateway," Jasper said in astonishment. Zaina squinted at the screen. "I've never seen anything like this before," she said. "This is not a natural phenomenon. Someone or something is creating this gateway." "Captain," Rona said, "one of the enemy ships that escaped earlier was heading directly in that direction. I think this gateway is their doing." "This could be a trap," Thane said cautiously. Malden pondered for a moment. Odyssey was faced with a significant decision. The gateway could lead them into greater danger, but it might also hold the key to unraveling the enemy's plans. Without taking his eyes off the screen, he made a decision. "Even if it's a trap, we have no other choice," Malden said. "We must go where the enemy comes from. Set a course for the gateway. Be ready." Veller hesitated but then nodded and entered the coordinates, directing Odyssey toward the energy storm. As the ship slowly approached the vortex, it began to shake. The shields groaned, and a sense of unease seeped into every crew member. "Hold on tight, everyone," Malden shouted as the ship was pulled forward. As Odyssey entered the vortex, there was a moment of complete silence. Time and space seemed to bend. And then, there was an explosion. The ship was hurled into another region of space. Another star cluster appeared around them. But this time, Odyssey was not alone. In the distance, a massive space station loomed like a dark shadow. It resembled a ship but was far larger. With towering structures, weapon systems, and blinking alien symbols, the station presented a menacing sight. "My God! This must be their main base," Jasper whispered. "Then we've reached our target," Zaina said, her voice resolute. "This is their heart. And there could be far more of them here," Malden said. As Odyssey silently approached the massive space station, the crew prepared for the coming battle. Everyone checked their weapons, mentally gearing up for the difficult mission ahead. This time, they were fighting not just to survive, but to unravel the mystery of the enemy. "Odyssey, full speed ahead," Malden commanded. "We will shine like a star in the eye of this storm." As the Odyssey approached the massive space station, the hearts of the entire crew raced. Before them stood the enemy's main base. The tension in the ship's control room was at its peak. Shields were raised to maximum, and weapon systems were fully activated. This could be their final battle. "We're getting closer, Captain," said Thane, staring at the screens displaying the enemy station's defense systems. Malden tried to maintain his composure, but determination was evident in his eyes. "Everyone to your positions," he ordered, his voice both authoritative and cautious. "This station is the last obstacle we need to overcome. We will destroy it." "There's movement on the outer perimeter of the station," Veller suddenly shouted. "Defense drones are approaching us." "I expected that," Malden said calmly. "Prepare all weapons to fire." In an instant, hundreds of defense drones appeared around the Odyssey. These small but fast machines were some of the enemy's most effective defense mechanisms. Each was armed with deadly lasers and advanced toward the ship. "Now!" Malden shouted. The Odyssey's weapons fired. The main artillery systems began tearing through the drones one by one. As the sky filled with explosions, the ship maneuvered to avoid enemy fire. Rona's fingers worked swiftly as she locked onto targets with the lasers. "I'm struggling to keep up. There are too many of them. Take down as many as you can, Rona," Zaina shouted, managing the combat systems alongside her team. A blast shook the ship. The Odyssey's shields trembled dangerously. As the crew tried to maintain their balance, danger signals flashed on the screens. "Shields down to 60%. Jasper warned. "These defenses won't hold much longer," Thane said with concern. "We need to get through this quickly." Malden clenched his jaw. "Divert all power to the weapons and engines. Shields will be temporarily deactivated." "That will leave us vulnerable," Veller said hesitantly. "I know, but we have no other choice," Malden said. "Focus on the target. Full speed toward the station." The Odyssey streaked through the drones like a bolt of lightning. While the weapon systems fired relentlessly, the engines pushed the ship closer to the station. But each explosion and collision pushed the ship closer to its limits. "Nexus, identify the station's weak points," Zaina ordered quickly. "We need to take down this massive structure with a single strike." Analyzing, Nexus replied in a cold tone. "Energy core detected. It is located beneath the main control room." "That's our target," Malden said. "If we destroy that core, the entire structure will collapse." "We'll have to get inside to reach the core," Jasper said. "Infiltrating and disabling it will be risky, but there's no other way." "This could be a suicide mission," Rona said seriously. "But we have no choice. We're going." Malden gave Rona a determined look. "This is for the future of the galaxy. If necessary, we'll all die here, but the enemy will be destroyed with us." "Understood, Captain," Zaina said, determination gleaming in her eyes. The Odyssey approached the main hangar of the station. Most of the drones had retreated, and the ship seemed to be moving toward the unknown. As they docked with the station, Zaina and her team quickly formed an assault squad. They donned their armor and checked their weapons. "This could be our last fight," Zaina said, looking at her team. "But we're not here to surrender to fate. We're here because we're determined to face the enemy and end this war." Rona nodded. "We'll fight for peace, not endless war." The team left the ship and moved into the dark corridors of the massive station. Enemy soldiers were waiting for them. A fierce battle erupted in the first encounter. Lasers flew through the air, and explosions filled the corridors. "We're getting close to the core room," Jasper shouted, checking his maps. "Not much farther." But enemy forces awaited them at every corner. Zaina evaded a group of soldiers and opened fire with her laser pistol, taking down the enemies one by one. Rona, fighting beside her, took a hit and fell but quickly recovered. "Keep going," Zaina shouted. "We must reach the core." Finally, they arrived at the core room, where a massive energy sphere rotated before them. The room hummed with powerful energy. Jasper quickly ran to the control panel, his hands flying over the alien symbols. "This is it," Jasper said excitedly. "If I can disable this core, we can blow up the entire station." "Hurry!" Zaina shouted, trying to hold off the enemy soldiers surrounding them. As Jasper severed the final connection, the core began to tremble. Lights flashed, and a loud rumbling filled the room. "I did it!" Jasper yelled, taking a deep breath. "The core is collapsing. We need to get out of here." The team rushed to escape the station. The explosions behind them and the collapsing walls were signs of the impending danger that grew closer with each passing moment. When they finally reached the Odyssey, the ship quickly pulled away. As the station exploded in a massive blast, the Odyssey had reached a safe distance. The light from the explosion reflected on the ship's windows. "The station is completely destroyed," Thane said with relief. "We did it." Malden leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. "We did it," he whispered. "The galaxy will be safe for a little longer." As the Odyssey's crew savored their victory, they knew other dangers awaited them in the darkness. But one thing was certain: the Odyssey had won a battle that would become the stuff of legends. And the echoes of this victory would be heard throughout the galaxy. This final victory, which brought peace to the galaxy, would carry the Odyssey's crew into a new era. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you in the next story.